Today's August 19th, Friday, and I want to tell you what happened last night. I'm just going to tell you straight up, I've been working on a new book. It's about entities and it's about helping people, and it's a book that has never been released before. No one's ever written a book like the one I'm writing, and so I know it's going to be invaluable information for many people. And the reason why I'm writing it is to help people and to keep them safe. And the biggest issue is that the more I challenge these things, not so much challenge, but do things that they don't like to help others to stay safe, I get challenged. Let's just say that. Last night I was on the phone with somebody named Dustin. He's a good friend of mine, and he's literally an angel on earth. He's been there for me, and I'm so grateful for everything with him. I've literally been up all night. I haven't been able to sleep, and I'm having really bad feelings right now. I got touched last night by something that is not my twin flame. It's not my spirit guides, and I get touched a lot, and I have very high tolerance for being touched. Like, I'll feel a whole rub on my shoulder, I can feel a touch on my cheek, and actually feel my chin, and actually feel the touch and the movement of my skin when I'm being touched by my twin flame and spirit. So it doesn't bother me because I know it's out of love and reassurance. But because of my gift of discernment and as a medium, I can also tell, and many people can also tell, because the energy differences and knowing, just the cognitiveness to it, knowing that the energy, the intent is different. And what happened last night is, as I was going up the stairs, first thing is I heard a whimpering, and I know it wasn't my daughter because when I went to go check on her, it wasn't her, she was asleep, and I know it wasn't her in her sleep because I just know it wasn't. And so I knew immediately something was here because I'd felt it for a while, but I didn't know what. And I'm not feeling comfortable right now because I feel like right now something's on my back. And I feel like, I don't like this feeling. And I know I could make this up, so if you think that, then you might as well turn this video off ahead of time. So that's my phone. But when I realized and knew that the whimpering that I heard was not my daughter, and this was around 12 in the morning, that's when shit got real. Because I have the gift of discernment, I know when something's trying to deceive me. And because I knew what this was, I knew immediately this was an entity, and I knew it was powerful. Because even when I walked into my room last night, I just felt like the room was darker. And I even told Dustin that when I was on the phone with him. And so that was one indicator that something was weird. And the room wasn't even dark per se, but it just felt darker. I don't know how to describe it. It did look darker though too. Even though the lighting hasn't changed, it did appear darker in here. And then I started hearing that whimpering. And then I went upstairs, and I'm getting pain in my head. And then as I'm walking up the stairs, because I knew immediately, because I came back down here after I checked on my daughter, I came back down here to turn my lights off. And when I started to do that, I knew, it knew that I knew what it was. And when that happens, all of a sudden, whoosh, it was on my back. And I felt it really hard, to the point where it made me jump, and I looked back behind me when I was trying to go up the first set of stairs. It's a very small set of stairs. And then you have a door. So I'm downstairs in the upset, and then one set of stairs. And when I went to the first set of stairs, and I tried to shut the door behind me, I literally had to look behind me first because I knew it was right on my back. And when you get that feeling, you don't even have to be a medium to know. You'll know when something's literally attached to you, and you will feel intense invasion of space to the point where it will make you jump or scream. because of how intense it can be with certain entities, especially depending on the kind of entity and its experience and its velocity and intention. And so then suddenly I knew it was up to something, and I knew something wasn't going well. I was on the phone with Dustin, and thank God I was on the phone with him, because I don't know how I would have been if this happened by myself with no one to talk to. And it's still hurting my head right now. It doesn't want me to talk, because right now I feel like it's going like this, and it's like don't talk, don't talk. But I'm gonna keep going because I want this message out. I want to share it with you guys so you guys know what it's like in a medium's world. The real stuff, not just the happy-go-lucky. You need to know the real stuff, everything. And then suddenly, as I'm going up the second set of stairs, I barely went up 3 steps, and something told me to stop. And as I was just about to lean against the railing on the left side of the stairwell, I didn't touch it yet. I was paused, and something told me something was going to happen, and I was still holding the railing behind me. And then suddenly I felt on my right side this thing next to me. I could feel it. It was still there. It was like, I'm all jumpy. It was like right there. And the next thing I know, I feel on my ass something go against my backside and like grope my ass, like just whoosh. And it was a very hard rub. And it really bothered me because I knew I wasn't leaning against the railing, and it even actually kind of pushed me a little bit. So I knew this was a strong entity. Now, people need to understand I've had many experiences, but I'm still learning at the same time. And the thing is no matter how many entities you come across, it's still going to scare you. It's still going to make you jump. And I'm not ashamed of getting frightened at times, especially when, because even as a medium, I can be forewarned something's going to happen. But will I know exactly what? No. It doesn't work that way. I wish, because then I'd be a hell of a lot more prepared. But then at the same time, it just make me crazy. And then, I mean, I was so scared. It freaked me out so bad. I was on the phone with Dustin, and I knew this was something intentional trying to grope me in an inappropriate way, and I was very upset with that. And then suddenly, like after that happened, I fumbled, just so scared, and I fell kind of on the other side of the stairs, like trying to get away from it. I know it was right in front of me. There's a lot of information in this whole thing, and it's so much information that you guys would just think I'm even more nuts. So I'm going to skip a lot of other details about the backstory of this. But those are just minor details. They're important, but they're still minor. And then what happened was as I'm walking up the stairs, and I finally go to sit down, and I went in my daughter's room, I couldn't sleep for the whole night. And I mean, I was so shaken up. I mean, I was having a panic attack. I suffer anxiety attacks, and I have PTSD. And when it happens, it's very severe. Like sometimes I even need a paper bag to blow into. Especially after having all the experiences that I've had, like my NDE, fainting, and many other things, many other stories of my life experience. I do have PTSD, and I do struggle with anxiety attacks, panic attacks. And so it's very common, especially after something like that. And so I was in my daughter's room, and I was up all night. I could not sleep, so I've barely gotten maybe 20 minutes of sleep the whole night. I have not slept. I'm exhausted. And Dustin, God bless him, he's been up with me all night. He still is. That's actually him. I decided finally, okay, I'm going to try to sleep. It was like 5:30 in the morning. And so we said goodbye. I tried to go back to sleep. And this is where shit got real. Like really real. Because I told him, I said, it's going to show me tonight. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, I don't want to sleep. I don't want to sleep. He said, well, you got to sleep sometime. I said, no, I know that, but you don't understand. it's going to show me it. It's going to come to me in my sleep. And that's why I stayed up all night, because I knew it was going to. But I was so tired. I said, okay, maybe the sun was coming up. It was inevitable. When I'm losing breath, like I feel kind of suffocated a little bit. What happened is that I found myself, I went to sleep and I found myself, a lot of this is so random, but it all is very significant and important. And what happened was suddenly I found myself outside in it looked like a park or something, but it was very big and it was very broad, and there was a lot of people, but it wasn't like crowded. It was, spread out a little bit. And I just remember suddenly when I was walking, I knew I was supposed to go somewhere. Psychically, somehow I just knew that. And so and in dreams, when you have lucid dreams, you will start to know that you can control and you can do whatever you want with the power of the mind. And I've had a lot of practice with this, and so it's pretty easy for me now. But in this dream, I knew I could make myself, this is weird, I levitated up to fly, basically. And then I started to I was just flying to the direction, the destination of where I was going. And I don't know why I decided to do that. I think it was because I didn't want to be near the people, because I wanted to get up away from them, and I didn't know why. I have an idea now, maybe. I think it's just because as I started flying away from them, and I was still high enough, and I remember they started to notice me, and it was weird because then they all started praising me. And I went, what? And they started praising me, all hail Melinda, da 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 da. And I went, no, please don't. No, please don't. I would keep saying, no, please don't. And all this, everything that I'm going to say, when I say at the end, it's going to give you chills if you don't realize it yet. And I just went with my gut, with my instinct of myself, and I said, no, please don't. And I smiled at them sweetly, and I would even look at them psychically, telepathically, telling them to raise, to stand back up. I'm no different. And I remember I locked eyes with one woman, and it was interesting. And then suddenly I found myself in a different place. And this is uncomfortable to talk about, but I want to be real. The next thing I know, I'm in another place, and weird enough it was my friend Dustin. But he had long hair, but he looked a little different, but it was still the face of him and everything. And the weird part is, in this dream, whenever I met with other people, the environment would suddenly manifest and change and morph. I didn't even have to go anywhere. It just, wherever I went, psychically, consciously, the environment would change as I moved. It was very bizarre. It was like something out of a movie. This is uncomfortable. I hate talking about this stuff. But suddenly, he was trying to be sexual with me. And I said, no, I don't want to. And then he basically forced me on this bed that manifested out of nowhere. And he was trying to pleasure me. And I kept saying, no, stop, no. And then he would go down and all that. And I went, no, stop, no. And he would still try, but it wasn't, and I'm telling you right now, it wasn't Dustin. Anyone who jumps to conclusions right now, please don't, because it's not his character. I know it's not his character. I'm a pretty good judgment of character for the most part. And you'll understand everything here again at the end. And then it was weird because suddenly, again, because I kept saying no a few times, then all of a sudden the environment just changed again. And I was standing suddenly at a fence with another girl. And she was tall, taller than me. She had long hair. She had black, white, and purple and green colors in her hair. They were like strips. It was really neat. She had some heavy duty eye makeup on, like a lot of mascara. I think her eyelashes were real, but they were very long. Very pretty, nice girl. And I was standing with her, and I didn't know why I was here. And then she was talking about Dustin this, Dustin that, and I went, "Are you Dustin's girlfriend?" And she looked at me and she goes, "Yeah, well, who else would I be?" And I said, "I thought he was single." And she go, "No, why would he leave me?" And I even said, I think, and then I think she said, why would he be with you? Like, what makes you think that? That was the vibe I got, and I think that was a conversation, but I didn't want to do anything, and I just said, okay, all right, that's a little weird, okay. And I didn't judge, and I didn't react. But then I went to go try to find Dustin that I saw in this dream, and I couldn't find him. But then again, the whole environment changed, and I was back in my daughter's room. And I thought I was awake. I thought I had woken up out of sleep, and so I got out of bed, and I'm walking away. Suddenly I hear my daughter behind me, and she had sat up from sleeping, and she goes, "Mom?" And I went, "Yeah, babe, what's up?" And then suddenly she looked at me, and she had this evil grin on her face. And suddenly her eye, this eye, went straight into her head. And it went white. I don't know why it was just the left eye. But again, there's signs. And the smile was like fucking creepy. And to see my daughter's face like that, my own offspring, my own child, my own birth of life, and it was, a parent knows when it's not your child immediately. And especially with a face like that, with a look like that, and the eyes, the pupils, it was very sharp, it was different, it was not her. It was very malicious, very evil, very malevolent kind of look, like up to something suspicious. And I looked, and I immediately knew when I saw that smile just looking at me like that. And I just immediately went up to it, and I immediately grabbed the back of its neck, holding its head, holding the hair, to keep the body still. I don't know why I did that, but I did because I didn't want it to move, and I didn't want it to bite me or anything like that. I've learned that in other dreams. I have a lot of history with this stuff. This is not my only experience with a demonic entity in a dream state. And the next thing I know, I did a cross on its forehead, and I started doing prayers and exorcising the demon out. But the weird part was, as I was saying, in the name of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, I rebuke you, and things like that. And I remember it just started laughing telepathically, and it was a very deep male voice. It was very creepy. That's all I could hear. It was laughing at me. And then I suddenly started to get numb and paralyzed in my body, and I knew then that it was trying to stop me from doing that. So before I could get completely paralyzed, because it was almost like a hypnotism, and I'm feeling weird even right now. The next thing I know, I went ahead and I just said, "Yeshua, Jesus, please wake me up and please get me out of this hell." Because I knew I was dreaming. And the next thing I know, I woke up. And I found out after looking at my phone that I had that dream for like 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes of sleep. It felt like only 10, 15 minutes. I think it was 30 minutes, but either way, that doesn't matter. I had all that experience, and it felt like a few hours within only a few minutes of sleep. And it was really scary, and that's not even my scariest stuff, but it was the feeling that scared me. And now I want to talk about what my feeling is about this dream. What my gut says is that it was a test. A test that I didn't want to take, but I know I passed. I know I did. In each test so far. So far. And what it is that in the first test, people were praising me. Now, like I said, the Bible has many truths. It's not entirely true, but there are many truths. But one of the truths is that yes, demonic entities, devils, will try to test and tempt you with many things. And so the first test, with all these people praising me, was vanity, I believe. And because of that, and when I said no, no, please don't, no, I passed because I'm a humble person. And no matter how popular I get, no matter where I am, I'm no better than anybody else. And I know that. And so this entity, though, was still trying to test me, tempt me through my pride, through ego. And it didn't work. And because of that, this entity is powerful enough, and I didn't experience this before. This is definitely new for me. And the next thing I know, it changed the environment and then put me in bed with Dustin. And even though to some people it would be tempting, I knew that it wasn't Dustin because the way it happened. And I don't even like thinking about it because I really respect him. And I know it makes him incredibly uncomfortable and possibly even ashamed for something that wasn't even a part of him, you know? But I know it wasn't him, and I know it wasn't his fault. And basically this entity pretended and shape-shifted into Dustin and tried to tempt me with lust and with sex, basically. And when I kept saying no, 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 and I've noticed you have to say no 3 times. And when I tried, and when I kept saying no each time, then again, I was with this woman. Now the difference with this woman though, and here's the creepy part, is that it turns out, when I told Dustin about this, I didn't know it, but I described an ex-girlfriend of his. She had the same hairstyle when they were together. I didn't know that. How weird is that? That's not a coincidence. And when he validated that, I went, okay. And then I knew immediately what the next test was. And maybe I'm getting a little bit mixed up on this one, but I think it was judgment or jealousy, envy, insecurity, whatever it was, or anger or vengeance. Because I didn't do anything like that. I didn't react. I didn't get upset. I was more of confused and a little hurt, but I wasn't assuming anything. And because I went to go try to find Dustin to deal with it in an honest way, without judgment, that's when everything manifested and changed again, back where I'm in my daughter's room. Now, this is the part that I'm a little confused about, and I think this test was a test of faith, which is a very heavy one. It's probably the worst, hardest one to go through. And especially when they target your loved ones, like your children or your spouse or a family member that you treasure. And the only thing I can think of through this whole experience is that because of the book that I'm going to be writing, it's a definite warning And I had already gotten a warning from another psychic out of the blue. And this psychic had told me, and I was afraid of this, had told me that me and Dustin have to be physically meeting together at some point. He's long distance right now. Because otherwise it'd be a warning, because it's going to be a lot harder when we're apart. And then interestingly enough, that's exactly what's going on within a matter of weeks of him and I getting to know each other. It's something I have never experienced before like this. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've experienced demonic entities, I've experienced this before, but this is different. And no, I am not attracting this because of the book. Yes, I am, because it's pissing off the entities and doesn't want me to write it. That's not my fault. Because how else are you gonna have help in that area? Not everyone watches YouTube. Not everyone wants to read the internet. Some people just want an old-fashioned book. And I'm okay with that. That's what I like to do. And I'm feeling a massive touch right now on my cheek. But I do feel that what's going on is it's a definite warning of writing this book, to the point where I've even halted in even writing it right now. I mean, I had the pages started, I had all the beginning pages prepared and done, and I haven't even started the first actual page yet, and I'm feeling really weird right now. But I know it's because it's a warning, and it's aware, and it doesn't want me to do this. And it's very powerful. It's a shapeshifter, not just of itself, but of environments. And I've never experienced that before. I mean, I know they can change environments, but I didn't know. I've never met one to do it this many times in a row. Usually I would just be in one environment, and it'd be a really scary environment with one entity. But this thing's stronger than that. And the fact that it was able to do that voice manipulation when I was downstairs in my room, to give me that indicator, and then to grope me in the hall, and then to suddenly manifest in numerous ways in this dream and along with the environment, to do all of that in one night, not even a full 24 hours. I don't know how much other people, or how much you know about demonic entities, but I'm gonna let you know right now, this thing's fucking powerful, and it's definitely experienced. It's no rookie. I'm getting really dizzy right now. The room's starting to spin. And I don't want to feed it with pride. I don't want to feed it with ego. But let's just say that my alarm is definitely up and going. So I just wanted you guys to kind of know what's going on. I may not be making videos very often. I will still try, but I will admit I'm going through a lot right now because of this. I'm going to have to cleanse and sage every single day for a while to keep this at bay. And I know the reason why this happened was because I hadn't saged in the past 2 days, so I will be every day now, though. But if you were willing to send prayers, I would be incredibly grateful and appreciative for this time, because it's also got, I think, the hint that it could be after my daughter too. And this is just different though for me, because usually these entities shows up when a client comes to me asking for help because they have an entity bothering them. But for the first time ever, this is different. This is a personal attack on me. And I know it's because of this book that I'm going to write, and it's going to be hell, because I'm going to write this book. at one point or another, I'm going to write this book. And when it's done, I'll let you guys know, you know, but just if you can pray for like the safety of my friend Dustin and for me, my daughter, that would be a huge blessing, and I would sincerely appreciate it. And normally I would be all in tears and stuff right now, but I'm so tired, to be honest with you, and I'm tired of crying. And when it affects my daughter and it affects me, it starts to make me mad. And I don't want to be mad, but I know I'm going to have to be in order to deal with it. But I know this is a very long video, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch and to listen. And I'll try to keep you guys posted as often as possible. But if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, or ideas, please go ahead and make comments below. But love, light, and blessings to you. And